I was also already being harassed in February of 2023 by Alan Dershowitz and the university because I was going to give a talk, and I gave a talk for the first health equity grand rounds, national health equity grand rounds at the AMA, the American Medical Association. And they knew I was going to talk about Howard Maybach. And Howard Maybach is, now I know, a Zionist professor at UCSF who used to be the chair of dermatology. And when he was in the 60s and 70s, he was injecting patients who were imprisoned in San Quentin in the California Medical Facility, Black and brown people, with toxic chemicals paid for by Dow Chemical and other chemical companies to determine their safety profiles. So organophosphate pesticides, injecting 2,600 people and exposing 2,600 people to poison. And these experiments were very much like Nazi experiments that were done on Jewish people in specific concentration camps. And they would keep a record of how their bodies responded to these poisons. It's a horrific thing to do. He did these experiments without informed consent. While he was a professor at UCSF, just a few years after the Nuremberg trials, which established the forms of informed consent needed for medical experimentation on humans so that people did not recreate Nazi experiments. So when I started speaking, this came out to light around the time of George Floyd, and I wrote about it in my book. And UCSF came out just before this grand rounds and said, oh, we're so sorry that this happened, and we're going to do an oral history project. I'm like, that's not how you handle it. You've got to find those 2,600 people and contact their families and see what happened to those people. And you got to offer them some sort of repair. You can't just say, oh, whoops, we this is just part of our dark history. Because Howard Maybach is still employed. So this doctor who injected 2,600 people with poison is still employed at UCSF.